Welcome to the Spirit of a Badass, where we celebrate stories of courage, hope, and resiliency. I am your host, Alecia Jacobson.
What's up, my badasses? How are we doing? This will be coming out the first week of January. Well, I guess not the first week of January because let me just tell you about that. So Wednesday, here I'm thinking like, oh, this is going to be a great time because everybody will have an extended time off, having New Year's Day on a Wednesday. Okay, in my head, like, why would you then go back to work for 2 days? Like, why? That doesn't make sense to me. I found out my kids had school. My younger two had school on Thursday and Friday. I did not send them on Thursday. I did not send them on Thursday because I could not. Here's the thing. Maybe some of you are like this. If I think it's going to be one way and then it changes, I have a really hard time shifting. This comes with, like, let's say I have plans and then the plans change. Like they're planned and then they get canceled and then maybe like replan for that same time. I'm not doing it. I have already in my brain been like, nope, I don't have to do this. And I already thought they didn't have school. And I just think that that is a real disservice to resting. We should not have to go and function Thursday and on a Friday after a holiday. No, thank you. So I let them stay home on Thursday and then they went back on Friday because I figured it was fine. And my oldest of my youngest daughter, she was like, people are going to be so crazy. The kids are going to be crazy. I don't want to go when they're just crazy because they just got off all this holiday. Well, it turned out they were all tired. She's like, it actually wasn't that bad. I guess she heard this because everybody was tired. Anyway, so that doesn't really feel like this coming up week. When this comes out, it'll come out on Tuesday. We are in the first week of this new year, 2025. And today I'm just kind of talk about how I enter a new year, how I have entered New Year's in the past. This year, I am real jazzed up about goal setting, and I'm doing a couple different things and I want to share them with you and then invite you to something. And then I'm going to, at the end, kind of talk about what I think we could focus on, all of us collectively, this year. So I have a couple invitations for you, some free events that I'm doing, and I'd love to see you there. So this is going to be welcoming a new year and kind of looking at how we want to be with this and maybe some things you've not thought of before that you can do. So what I did this year is something I've never done before. So I usually do a vision board. I haven't done it the last couple of years because I haven't wanted to. The year after 2020, so 2021, I was like, you know what? I'm not feeling this. There's nothing big coming out of me. And that's what I always connected New Year's with, is these big, kind of, what do you want to accomplish and all these things. And I was like, my brother died that year. We had COVID. There was all of this just negative shit. The kind of loss of, I had planned from 2015 to 2020. I was kind of building up to my launch. I had been planning because I, got divorced and remarried and had 2 more kids. And by 2020, I was going to have an extended amount of time of children in school. So I was going to be able to put so much more into my work. So I had been planning for 2020. Well, that shit didn't happen. So 2021, I was like, it's like so many of you too, just survived. So I tell you this because there is this energy that the world sort of projects on you of, it has to be big. It has to, it should look like this. First of all, we're in a fucking January. And depending on where you live, January is not exactly a like go, go, go month. It's cold and dark. And that is not necessarily the greatest time to be doing a life overhaul or things that are necessarily hard. That's a good time for rest. That's a good time for kind of turning within. So if you're not feeling it, please no judgment on yourself. I feel like we're kind of getting past the judgment on ourselves, but sometimes there's still some residual stuff. So if you're not feeling it, spring can be a very good time then for you to make any sort of new year type goals and things like that. So if you're not feeling it now, spring is the best time. If you think about spring, it's new life, there's energy, things like that. Winter, nobody really feels like doing much. I do. So if you're there, I have some offerings for you. If you're not, I have some different kind of ways of thinking because I kind of like the year type idea versus like New Year's resolutions. So I'm going to share first with you what I am currently doing. Different this year, I did seasonal vision boards because what I've noticed in myself, and I've actually noticed this in a lot of my clients too, is we are different in the seasons. Our workouts seasonally may be different. If it's cold, maybe we're not going outside. Maybe we're doing more indoor type things. Maybe we're doing more indoor swimming in a pool in like lap swimming and kids. There is different kind of seasonal with summer. Life is much different then. And I can't have the same expectation for myself if I want to have the lifestyle I want, which is to be able to kind of come and go with them more in the summertime. I can't have the same expectation. So kind of looking seasonally, what are the things that I want to accomplish? And for me, seasonally would be January, February, March is winter, and then every 3 months from there. Looking at it this way, I was really able to plan. It just kind of flowed a little bit better. And I did notice that winter was full, summer was full, and the spring and the fall, not so much. But it was full of things that were not difficult or hard or challenging. It was like inviting things that I wanted to do. So a seasonal vision board. And I'm going to share a few things that are on my winter vision board. And I did a picture. So what I did is I went into Canva and they had like 8 photos and I put 8 photos in and then it says like winter 2025. And the first thing that I added was painting. And that's something that for me in winter and the cooler times feels very creative and also kind of turning inward and letting my creative side kind of come out. And so painting, that's something that I want to make sure that I continue to do and prioritize during this winter season. There's also, after the elections, I have had a very strong pull to get involved in politics in some way or another at the local level. I don't know what this looks like. There, in no way am I like putting my name on any ballot. That's not anything that I don't want to do that. But I have a strong pull for that. And kind of some things that I'm going to be doing. There are some local meetings that I'm going to go to. There's like a meet and greet that I'm going to. So just kind of looking at how I can get involved on the local level, because one of the things that I felt, if you listen to my podcast kind of right following the elections, I was feeling just like kind of like I didn't really I don't like using the word powerless, but that immediate kind of gut punch feeling. And then I'm like, okay, well, the big seems unattainable, at a high level of impact. So what can I do at a kind of local level impact? So I'm getting involved. So that is on there. I want to get new headshots. So a picture of my old headshots, which I think is like 2017, 2018. So it's been a long time. I need some revise. I tried the AI ones, not so much. And then there I have I want to take a trip with my husband. So I put a picture of a fun picture that we had. And then there's another one where it's just a picture of me with a picture that I purchased. I found a photo. If you've heard of the House on the Rock, there was a picture that I saw in the cafe that they have there. It's a very unique, interesting photo. But when I see it, I'm like, I feel like it speaks to my soul. Like I feel like it's me in a photo. And when I put this on my vision board, it means I want to be really stepping into that part of me, that sort of like who I actually am, the weird part of me that like leaps around and sings and dances and doesn't. I don't think I filter myself much, but I think I probably do more than I think I do. So just kind of stepping into more of that kind of familiar, maybe guarded version of who I am. So I put this together seasonally. And I just want to say, when I put this together now, I can't just have this vision board with pictures. There has to be some action to it. So for instance, I emailed the woman who does my headshots and I said, what can you give me at the end of March? Remember, this is January, February, March. I have already set up some of the stuff in the political world here in Madison, Wisconsin that I have like RSVP'd. I'm going. It's on the calendar. Let me tell you though, it's kind of hard though. These things are at night. They're like at 6:00. Usually by 4, my bra is off and pajamas are on. So it's going to take a lot for me. Like there's going to have to be some accountability with this. I have to really work at this stuff because, man, 6:00 at night, eek, like we really just, after 4, I just feel like things should not happen. So if you're doing a vision board, making sure that you're actually going through it, like, okay, what needs to happen so that I can accomplish this? Now, some of these are bigger. Like I put a retreat on here. I'm not planning, like there's literally, this would have to be a person who, hey, Alecia, guess what? I have a person who can't come to this retreat. It's a week and it's all women and you don't have to pay anything. Just buy your flights. And then I would be like, oh, hell yeah. So I'm putting this energy out there to the world of, I really want to do a retreat in this winter season. That's not in any way in our like, yep, I'm going to put the money down for this. It's not there. So I'm putting this energy out there for this. I'm not setting out, okay, here I'm booking the flights for it. Here I'm doing this. So that one's a little bit different, but put those, that shit happens. I created that like all from like 2011 to 2015 with just, here is what I'm putting out there into the world. So if it's something where, okay, I need to make a plan, I need accountability, I need those things, put that in place. If it's something where I'm putting this on here and I'm going to put this energy out into the world, there's not really anything I can do to plan for it, but I'm planting the seed that this is what I want to come to me. So kind of 2 different vibes with that. So that's one of them. My seasonal vision board, you do a whole year. This is my first time doing the seasonal one. The second thing that I'm doing is if you're on TikTok, you've probably seen these bingo cards, and I think they're actually fantastic. I'm actually going to host a free event on Zoom, and we'll make a vision board bingo card for yourself for 2025. That is going to be, after I just got done saying I don't like nights, January 22nd at 6 p.m. I probably won't have a bra on. I shouldn't say that. I don't, it is not that kind of event. I'm just saying, come in your PJs if you want. Anyway, January 22nd, 6 p.m. I'm going to put the Zoom link in the show notes and you can show up that way. I will record it, but don't worry, you don't have to be on the recording at all. It will just be me. But the idea of this is it's going to be different than the vision board because I have things that are, okay, let's say B1 is something you want to let go of. And I'll give you some time to think about, what does that look like? It could be a grudge. It could be you are holding on to clothes that are 4 sizes too small for you and you just want to let go of them. And so we're going to go through it like that. I'm going to put things on there that are something that you can anticipate, something that maybe is a little edgy. It's going to make you think differently. I have a list of what's going to be on it. And I'm going to force your brain to think differently of things that you normally wouldn't do. Maybe something that you have been kind of putting off. I think that was one of them. Something that you've been putting off. Like, let's put that on there. But it's going to be fun. It's also going to get to the kind of places where maybe you're ignoring a little bit, but it's going to be a fun one. So that's going to be January 22nd at 6 p.m. The Zoom link will be in the show notes. And let me know if you're coming. Also, screenshot this episode, post it, and then you can invite your friends to it also because I'm not going to put a cap on this. And it's totally free. Okay, so that is something I'm doing, and I'm going to be doing that with you. And then the other one that is not on either one of these things, and I actually started this before the new year, is a couple of habits. So one of the things that I have gotten terrible about, and especially being somebody who like tells people to do this, I have gotten really bad about my protein intake. So I use an app. It's called, I think, Habit Tracker. It's free, although I think I have a paid subscription to it. Let's see. It just says Habit, but it's has a red check mark in it, and it's just an app that I got, and it's called Habit. But I think I think it was like lifetime was like $7 or $8, so it wasn't anything expensive. But I have an iPhone and I have it on there, but I think they had other ones too. Anyway, so what it allows you to do is when I go in this app, I can set it to a unit of 100 because I want to get 100 grams of protein a day. So I can go in and say, today. So it's 11 o'clock. I had my breakfast, which had 30 grams of protein in it. So I can go in, and right now it says I have had, because I didn't do it yet. So it says I've had 0 out of 100 grams. And then I just go in and I'll put my 30 so I can track it and I can see it. And then at the end of the day, it'll tell you how much you finished. It'll like complete the little circle ring. And then you can see a month view too. So you can see one of the things when I talk with people about is you kind of got to zoom out with these habits. Like, are you completing the majority? Are you hitting 100% the majority of the time? And when you have kind of a month view, a lot of the trackers have this now, whether it's fitness, things like that, they have this kind of month view where you can see, did you complete it? Yes or no. And if you completed it 90% of the time, you're doing excellent. But if you're not, if you think, because that's the thing, sometimes we think in our head, oh, we're great, we're doing well. And then when you actually start looking at it, you're like, well, fuck, I'm actually not. So this is one. I have the protein one, and then I have because I'm not a fan of doing more than one at a time, but this is a fairly simple one. I want to start doing my morning routine again, which is I'm just writing my intentions down. It's just taking a few minutes in the morning. So that's I either did it or I didn't do it. And I didn't do it this morning. I'm just remembering. So those are just the kind of habits that I am like, hey, I see that this is something that I truly want to be doing. Life got in the way. I wasn't focused on it. I wasn't prioritizing it. I was, taking kind of the easy way out on a lot of things that it came to the protein. So now I'm just paying attention, and that's all it is. I'm just paying attention and then logging just protein. The other thing that I'm doing is the one word. And that I'll also put in the show notes. My last episode was on one word. I have a free Facebook group that you can join. My word for this year is ready. I am embodying that word. I don't know exactly what I'm ready for, but I am really fucking ready. Like, I am ready. I am ready to go make a difference. I am ready to create change. I am ready. I'm sure there's going to be things that I'm going to have to deal with that I did not want to, but this word is what is sort of kind of the lens that I'm looking at this year through. So that's another one. And again, that will be in the show notes. You can join that group, share that one. That's a really fun one. That one has actually, I've gotten so much good feedback on how having a word of the year versus like a New Year's resolution or goals or things like that, it kind of infiltrates every single area of your life. So come check that out. It's laid back. This isn't like a stressful one. This is a really neat kind of way to look and view a calendar year. All right. So you might be in a different spot. Like I said, I wasn't always this energized about it. So just make sure that you're not kind of, if people are like asking you, or I don't know, is that even a thing anymore? I don't talk to enough people. I don't know if that's a thing, but just know that you have to follow what you actually know you need. And sometimes you might need a kind of a kick in the ass. You might need to light a little fire, and maybe one of the things or something different is inviting to you. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I am going to do this. Other times it's just like, fuck, your goal might be to heal. Your goal might be, which is what mine was in 2021. It was like, I was struggling so much through that year that I really just needed to not really focus on anything but inward and in myself. And that is a super wonderful thing to do. We all have our shit. If you're listening to this, you probably know that. And healing that is just such a good and wonderful service that you can do for yourself, because that impacts all of your world. So lean into your kind of take some quiet time and lean in. Are you feeling pulled and energized to do these things? If you are, fucking join me in these things. Join me on the bingo card one. I've never done that one before. So this is going to be, it'll be interesting. It'll be fun. We'll see how this works. Some TikTok trend that I'll go on. And then the one word, which I've done the one word group many years. So this one, I have so many people saying, yes, this was awesome. This was awesome. So that one I 100% know makes a big difference. Definitely join that group. And now I'm going to kind of share where my people are. So as you know, I do coaching with women, life coaching and health coaching. And now I'm just going to share the things that they're working towards as this new year. A lot of us, we started kind of before the new year, because I mean, again, like sometimes this is just some made up shit, but if it's energizing, we're going to work with it. The one word, I just talked about that. I'm almost like most of the women I work with are doing because they have done the one word in the past. So a lot of them are doing that and will be joining in on that because it is helpful. And actually in our coaching, it's brought up a lot, the one word that they have picked and how they're kind of using it to help, almost like a guide, and just kind of lead the way for the year. Many like me are working on habits. The biggest one I'm seeing is exercise, and how they are doing this is some of them are actually working with me on the exercise, but a lot of them track their exercise kind of in a similar app as the habit. But I think it's more like the exercise rings that you have in your Apple tracker or the watch maybe, or whatever device you're using. Peloton, I think, has a tracker that you can see a lot of them, because what they do is they screenshot it to let me know, because these are new habits. So a lot of what I work with is accountability. So they screenshot it and they send it to me to let me know. So I get to see all the circles be filled in as the week goes on. So that's really lovely. Some of them are working on meal prep and kind of planning that out and how to do meal prep in a way that works for their lifestyle, not in a way that they have seen on social media, because their social media is not real. Some are working on kind of simplifying, and that is tricky, because we are kind of sold this idea that things need to be complicated and you need this gadget and this and this and this and consume, and then you can start. And you actually don't have to. We can really just, what are the basics and how do we do that? And how can you simplify each task? How can you simplify meal prep? How can you simplify your workouts? How can you simplify your communication? Do you need all of the alarms and notifications going off? Really just kind of boiling it down to the most simplest parts. And then the other one, nutrition, is a big one right now that I'm working on with that. That's always a big one, but that's something that a lot of people are working on. And I start them just where I'm talking about, I'm tracking my protein. That's exactly where I start people. Let's start tracking protein, and fiber is one, but I know I'm hitting my fiber, but that's a big one. Another one, and this one sort of, I see like kind of an ebb and flow, is people kind of finding their purpose. Because what happens, especially with women, and I'm sure this happens with men too, is you kind of do the college and then you get married and then you have kids and you get to this point, mid 40s usually. And this can happen anywhere up to, I'm working with women, in their 60s. And it's sort of like, well, shit, I gave my whole life to my children. And there's kind of that awakening of, who am I now? I am not the person that I was before I had them, but I'm trying to figure out, where do I fit in here? And then there is the kind of other group that are in their kind of late 50s, early 60s, that have done that. And then they are totally into their career and rising up. I mean, I work with some fucking badass women, and they have excelled in their career. They're at the top. And they're also then like, well, who am I in this? Because when you excel that much, sometimes you lose all of the healthy habits. You have great ones because you have this drive, you have all of these things, but sometimes that comes at an expense. So that can look like, oh shit, I need to start incorporating these things in, either back in, or, I really care about, I want to be able to move when I'm in my 80s, and I have to, now is the time. And so I'm working with a lot of women on that right now. Okay, so that's sort of what this like New Year energy is to you. I want to wrap this all up with what my hope is that you will take into this new year, and what I think we all collectively need. The first one is to listen to what you already know. So I have said all of these things. It is my belief, and I've said this over and over and over again, that you already have the answers. You already have a very strong inner knowing. Sometimes you just don't know how to listen to it. Sometimes you may have it clouded over by other people's opinions or your own kind of inner critic. But somewhere inside of you, and I usually ask like people, where do they feel it? Sometimes it's like head, heart, and gut. But I firmly believe that you know. So tapping in this year to finding what you already know and then letting that be your guide. Stop listening to, and this is a hard one, but like cutting out what other people say you should do or what you think you should be doing, and really tapping into like, what the fuck do you already know? What do you know? And follow that instinct that you have, because you have it. And the more you start to lean into that and practice it, the easier it gets. I worked with a woman on this in the last couple of weeks. The energy that she came in with, because she did this and she was like, I just did it. I blocked everything else out. And I just thought like, I know what I'm doing. And I did it. And she was it was a very simple task, but sometimes the simple tasks are difficult. If you haven't been listening to your own knowing and you kind of just let other people tell you what to do, it can be hard. So kind of practicing that in any way that you can is so fucking powerful. So that is one. Back to keeping it simple. We overcomplicate shit, and then shit doesn't get done. Keep it fucking simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be hard. Boil it down. What is it in its most simplified form? And just kind of knowing it doesn't have to be so hard. Permission to keep it simple. And that could be anything from a celebration to meals that you have to decorating your house. I don't know. Everybody has different stuff. Keep it fucking simple, especially if you're in a time of stress. Find the areas that you can simplify down, because it will lessen that stress so much, so much. The last one is leaning in to and learning to follow and live what truly is important and matters. Because I fucking know that we get, I'm going to even say off track. I usually say there is no track, but we get off track of what we actually care about. And we put I think I talked about this in the fuck it bucket. We put our fucks into things that don't actually matter. And the more you can fill your day, your week, and your month with the things that you actually care about. Like if I'm asking you, what's most important to you? And then I say, are you putting your time there? Are you putting your energy there? Are you working on cultivating that? And if you're not, what's keeping you from doing that? And how can you start really focusing on what actually fucking matters? And that is all I have for you today. I hope to see you at the January 22nd event at 6 p.m. The Zoom link will be posted. Also, I'd love to see you in the One Word group that will also be posted. That's a Facebook group, and just come on in. I have like a little place where you can introduce yourself and share what your word is. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back to the last episode, and that I explain everything and how to find your word, things like that. But have fun with this. Have fun with whatever it is. And if you're not feeling pulled towards it, then that's okay too. My hope for you for this year is that you follow and you create the life that you want. And that is why I'm here for you, so that we can together every week give you opportunities to continue to follow who you are and the life that you want and how you can start making that. And if you want to work with me, just shoot me a message, send me an email. It's on the notes, and I would love to help you create that, because that's what I love doing, because it's super fun to watch you guys go from, kind of stuck or unhappy in your lives and create fucking awesomeness. And it's totally possible. All right. Have a good week. Thanks for listening.
Spirit of a Badass is a Lit Path Studios podcast and is produced by Jamie Gale and Alecia Jacobson. Music by Shane Ivers. We'll be back with another inspiring interview. Until then, keep your spirits high and your energy badass.